Q3 question. All right, morally ambiguous characters, characters whose behavior discourages readers from identifying them as purely evil or purely good, are at the heart of many works of literature. Write an essay on how a character can be viewed as morally ambiguous. So this one would work really well for A Doll's House. Because A Doll's House really explores, as a theme, morality. And the characters, in one way or another, are all trying to figure out their own definition of it. And the protagonist, or the heroine in this case, Nora, I can't decide if I want to spoil this for you or what, but it's sort of significant to understand the whole piece. She leaves her family, and she does that at the end. And that's why this book was called well, when she left, it was The Door Slammed Heard All Around the World. And the timing of when she did this, it was just before women's rights movement, and she, it was so controversial that she abandoned her children. There were even actresses at the time who refused to do the ending as intended. They wanted to change it. They wanted to make it into a happy story. If you do that, then it changes the meaning of the work. So, because it had to be that significant to raise that kind of question, and that's why it's on the AP test. It's something that it's not going to be black and white. Literature is always subjective, and that's the beauty of it, because you don't have to worry about being accurate. You have to worry about making an interpretation. Let's think about it this way. If a man left at the end of the play, do you think it would rock everybody's world? I mean, like, people would be just totally shocked, and male actors would say, no, I can't play that role, no. And that goes into feminism in a way, as a feminist theory. There's a lot of different theories. There's not just colloquial cultural feminism that people think it is. It actually derives, well, the one that I like to use, from Christeva, a French feminist. It's very complicated, but what it really comes down to is the expectation of the mother is a lot, I would say, stricter, or just more defining as what they expect a mother to be, whereas a father, you could have all sorts of issues and still be a man, a father. But a mother, there's definitely a double standard. And this is how actually I would approach this with students, because if you're a teacher, also, you can also watch these videos. You may not want to bring this up, but it's 12th graders. The example I would use would be, what if some girl slept with a bunch of guys? I mean, what would you call her? And nobody wants to really just outright say it. Some people do, but usually they know. And if you ask the same about a guy, one of my students said, legend. So okay, so you have a whore and you have a legend for doing the same act. You don't think that there's anything wrong with that? That there might be just a little bit unfair for the woman, that she's judged that way? Well, mothers are, I think we're harder on our mothers than we are our fathers, because of the same standards. It's part of the patriarch society that we live in, and even though we're evolving certainly from that, I think there's some underlining expectations that just are not going to quite ever go away. And some of it has to do with the fact that if you look at Lacan's theory of the mirror stage, I think the child's 2 or 3 years old, when he sees himself in the mirror, he realizes he's separate. And it's a nice, exciting discovery in one way. But in another way, the person's face that he's always looked at has been his mother. And according to Lacan, he didn't really see her as separate from him. So it's almost like looking at a reflection of yourself and saying that this person is who I think she should be. And when she's not, it's more, I don't want to say dramatic, you know. I mean, my kids were always treating me kind of like this way, like you're just not the usual mom. And I don't know what that means exactly. I mean, I get bored really easy with kids stuff. I don't know if it's not intellectual. I'm not really interested. Maybe that's the problem with me, is not, you know, being the mother. The typical mother. I don't really know what that is, but there's definitely an idea out there in mind of what it should look like, and I probably fall a little short. And, you know, anyways, so I'll get over it. Okay, so let's go back to this Q3. Ambiguous characters. Here's another thing to keep in mind. Nobody writes about normal people. What are you going to write about? What are you going to say? And just for a little bit of encouragement, especially to girls that are like this, who like to be perfectionists. Well, perfectionists are kind of boring, really. Nobody likes a perfectionist, to be honest with you. So I would rather be flawed and interesting and have people that either some of them like love me and some of them hate me. And I think that's a lot more interesting than trying to please everybody, and then you won't drive yourself crazy in the process. That's just a little free advice. But so characters are not really either just good or bad. They even characters that seem pretty bad, like, you know, even if like Macbeth kills somebody, we wouldn't say Macbeth is really a villain. I would say he's just a tragic hero. He acted on a tragic flaw, which is a completely different topic, and I'm not going to get into it with the Doll's House because it's not really relevant. But so Nora's character obviously is questionable. She's ambiguous in a way, and you know that because readers don't really know how to interpret her at first. You know, they just. I'll give you an example, and we'll just kind of start.